Hello everyone. Today let's solve the problem number 97, interleaving string. So what the question states here, we need to determine if S3 is formed by interleaving S1 and S2. You can clearly see here we have S1 and S2, right? So we need to find if S3 is formed by interleaving S1 and S2. And interleaving means that the order of characters in S1 and S2 must be preserved. Means you have to preserve the order of characters in S1 and S2, but they can be mixed together in any valid sequence. You can mix together S1 and S2, the characters present in S1 and S2 in any valid sequence. You can clearly see the diagram here. Order is preserved here. You can clearly see AA, this one D. You can mix this one, right? This one, because this is present in the S2, DBBC. So D double B C. So it can be of any order, but if the characters are present, this one, if the characters are present more than once, then we have to preserve that one, right? So here DBBC, BC, and finally AC. This is fine, right? I hope this is completely clear. So that's what they have given in the explanation as well. One way to obtain S3 is split S1 into S1. That is nothing but double A plus BC plus C they have given, and S2 into S2 D double BC plus A they have given. So interleaving the two splits, we get double A DBBC BC plus A plus C. Here you can clearly see that's what they have shown in the diagram as well. Since S3 can be obtained by interleaving S1 and S2, we return true. Interleaving in the sense it should be preserved in certain order, rearranging of the data, and we have to preserve the order, right? So that's what we have done here accordingly. That's what they have shown in the figure as well. Same goes with the example 2 and example 3 as well. And in the example 3, it is of empty string. So when it is empty string, the order is preserved. So here directly, so we can just return true in this case. Here this is true, this is also true. For this one, they have clearly said that, notice how it is impossible to interleave S2 with any other string to obtain S3. It is not possible. So we have to return false in this case, right? So I hope the question is completely clear. Now what we'll do, let's discuss the approach initially, followed by edge cases one by one, and then finally discuss the finally write the code and discuss the complexities of the code that we have written. Initially, let's discuss the approach. So here, one thing we have to observe here is we'll be going with the 2D dynamic programming, right? So I have considered the same question, first question that they have given in the example will be, let's discuss the approach. We have considered the first example that they have given in the question. Let's discuss the approach step by step. And also just note this one, we'll be going with the 2D dynamic programming, right? So 2D DP will be going with. The first step here is we have to check if S3 can be formed by interleaving S1 and S2, right? That's what the question states here. So this is what I have considered. So step 1, main thing, let's come here. So first what we will do, we have to check the length. When I say we have to check the length, we have to check the length of S1 and S2. In this case, for this, here, length of the S1 is 5 and length of the S2 is 5. Let me come here. You can clearly see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 here. So 5 plus 5 here. This is length of the S1 and S2. The length of S1 and S2 has to be always equal. If it is not, then we have to return directly false, right? So this is step 1. We have to check the length. Next step here is, so here length of the S3 is 10 in this case. Let's move on to the next step. So we have to create the DP table here. We are creating a DP table of n plus 1 into m plus 1 just for the easy computation, right? So just keep this in mind. We'll be going with the 2D DP table. 2D DP table just for the this one, easy computation, right? So I hope this is clear. So let's initialize the DP table. So let's go with the first row here. So first base case here is dp of 0 comma 0. This one first one is always true here because we have empty s1 and s2 we are considering to form the s3. We saw that one in example 3, right? It is possible uh, to form the s3 by interleaving s1 and s2 when it is empty, when s1 is s1 and s2 are both are empty, right? So in this case this will be true. So all other this one cell I'll just be filling with false, right? I hope this is clear. This is for the first row, right? 0 comma 0 to 0 comma 5. So next step here is so we will check for dp of 1 comma 0 here. In this case dp of 1 comma 0 is true as well. Same thing, dp of 1 comma 1 is true as well. 1 comma 0. Next let's go with the dp of 1 comma 1. So here dp of 1 comma 1 will be false. Why it is false here, dp of 1 comma 1? Because a not equal to d in this case, and d sorry, and also d not equal to a in this case, right? So a not equal to d and d not equal to a in this case. So it is here this one here in this case it is false. And let's go with the 1 comma 1. So just give me a second here, let me mark this one as set right. So this is fine. Let's go with the 1 comma 2. 1 comma 2 here this is true, right? uh, Here this is true. Why this is true here? 1 comma 2 a and b we are considering here, right? So this one here a not equal to b and b equals b here. This condition wins in this case. So here we are giving true, right? So other cells we are just filling this one with false right here. So I hope this is clear. Next let's start with dp of 2 comma 1. dp of 2 comma 1 here will be true. 2 comma 0 here initially, so initially this is true itself, right? This is true, this is fine. Let's go with dp of 2 comma 1. So here dp of 2 comma 1 is true as well. Why it is true here? D equals d here, you can clearly see here. So first what we will do in this case, a not equal to d comma but d equals d in this case, right? So for this purpose we'll be going with this one. This will be true for 2 comma 2. So just give me a second here. For 2 comma 2 also it will be true here. Why? The same thing, a not equal to b here but b equals b here in this case, right? So this will be true. So all other cells, let's mark this one as false. You can just check for other cells as well, individual cells. So I'm just going with the true ones, right? So next here let's come with dp of 4 comma dp of 3 comma 2 here. In this case this will be true as well because you can clearly see dp of 3 comma 2 b equals b in this case. So in this case b will be equal to b. So let me delete this one. B will be equal to b. So here this will be true. In this case dp of 3 comma 3 is also true here. Why? Because here same thing, b equals b again. So here all other this one will be false in this case. False, false. This one is also false. This one is also false as well. So let's go with this one, dp of 4 comma 4 here. dp of 4 comma 4 will be 4 comma 3 will be true here in this case. So dp of 4 comma 3 is true because c equals c in this case, right? So it will be true. dp of 4 comma 4 is also true here because c is again equal to c, right? All other this one we will mark it as false, right? Finally dp of 5 comma 4 and 5 comma 5. So this one we don't have space. Let me write it here itself on this box. So this is this will be 5 comma 0, 5 comma 1, 5 comma 2, 5 comma 3, 5 comma 4 and 5 comma 5. So this is last row I have considered here. There was no place after this one. We are considering the last row. For the last row here, dp of 5 comma 4 and dp of 5 comma 5 here, this will be true. So this will be true and this will be true. All other cells are false here in this case. So this is false, this is false, 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 true and true. In this case here, this is true, right? So in this case, this is true. dp of 5 comma 5. So here dp of 5 comma 5 is true in this case. So we have to return the last one, this one, last one that is present in the solution that is present in the last cell. Here in this case it is true, right? So we have to return true in this case. So the output will be quite obviously true. So this thing matches with the output here. So this one output will be true in this case. For this one, output they have given true as well for the first question. So this matches with the output that they have given given for the example 1 in the question. So the approach works absolutely correct in this case, right? So next step here is, I hope the approach is completely clear. Let's discuss the edge cases step by step. So here the first edge case that we are going with here is when S1 is ABC and DF. This one interleaving is A, D, B, C, E, F. In this case, this is true. This is what we have discussed, right? This is true. So this one S1 is ABC and S2 is DF, AB, DE, CF. So this doesn't maintain the order in this case. You can just directly write this one as false. Third one is S1 is A and S2 is empty. Here, this one you can clearly see here. This one we have the order A here, S3. You can clearly see this is true as well, right? So here fourth one, S1 is empty and S2 is just A, S3 is B in this case. So A and S3 we have B here. We don't have A at all. This one will be false, right? So for the fifth one, S1 is empty, S2 is empty, S3 is also empty. This we have already considered for the example 3. This is always true, right? So this we saw while discussing the approach as well, right? This is true. These are the 5 edge cases that we need to consider. I hope the approach and edge cases are completely clear. Now what we'll do, let's write the code and discuss the complexities of the code that we have written. Here let's start writing the code. We'll be making use of the length of the S1 and length of the S2. So we have to use this one in code several times. I'll just assign this one to the variables, different variables, right? I'll just give here n equals length of the S1 and m equals length of the S2 here. This one, I hope this is clear. So the first step here is, if the lengths do not match, then we have to return false. Here m, if n plus m not equal to S3 dot length here, this one we have to return false in this case, right? So if lengths do not match, right, we have discussed during the approach itself. This is the base case we are going with. If the lengths do not match, we have to return false. In our case, it was 5 plus 5. First example we considered, right? Here you can clearly see this was 5 and this was length of this 2 was 5. So we proceeded further, right? So if the length does not match, then we have to go with this one. We have to return false in that case. So let's initialize the dp table here. Let dp equals array of n plus 1 and let's fill this one with nothing. Let's go with map here. In this case, array of, let me go with m plus 1 dot fill of false, right? This is fine, right? So we are just initializing the DP table, right? This is 2D DP table. That is the reason we are going with array of n plus 1 and array of n plus 1, S1 and S2, right? So here you can clearly see that one. So after initializing the DP table, we are going with the base case. Empty strings can interleave to form an empty string, right? Within this. So here, how can we write that one? DP of 0, 0. In the DP table, we saw this one, right? DP of 0, 0. We directly initialize this one to the true, right? Assign this one to true. So let's fill the DP table step by step. We have already discussed this one, right? This will be easier. So we are going with the 2 for loops as we are dealing with 2D DP table. So here this will be for let I equals 0, I less than or equal to n. Then let's increment the I. This is fine. So the next step here is one more for loop for let j equals 0, j less than or equal to m. Let's increment the j here. This is fine. 2 for loops we have made use of, right? So next step within the for loop, we have to check if we can take a character from S1. Also, we have to check if we can take the character from S2 as well, S1 and S2. We need to preserve the order. That's what we need to do here. And the whole question is about preserving the order that they have given in the S1 and S2. Is it possible or not for the S3 after interleaving S1 and S2? Is it possible to get all the strings within S3? That's what the question state, right? So here we have to check if we can take a character from S1, and next step we will check if we can take a character from S2. So simple if conditions here, 2 if conditions here. If I greater than 0 here, dp of ij here, this one equals dp of I minus 1 j and s1 of I minus 1 here. This one we have to check whether this is equal to s3 of I plus j minus 1 here. So this is, we are checking if we can take the character from S1, right? So we are considering I. So here if we have to check if we can take a character from S2 as well. Same, let's make use of the j instead of I here. J greater than 0. Then, so I should have copied the previous line. This is fine. Let's clear. So dp of ij here, sorry, or equals here dp of I into dp of j minus 1 here and s2 of j minus 1 here. This one, it is equal to we are checking for s2 and s3 this time, right? We are checking if we can take a character from s2. So s2 of j minus 1 equals s3 of same thing, I plus j minus 1. So this will be I plus j minus 1. So I hope this is completely clear. These are the 2 conditions, right? So we need to consider. This is it mainly. So these are actually easier, right? So we are just going with length of the S1 and S2 here. This is fine. This is when we this one, just give me a second here. If the lengths do not match, means S1 and if the length of S1 and S2 are different, then we have to return directly, will return false in that case. So we have initialized the DP table here. This is one thing. We are just initializing. Initially, for the DP of 0, 0, nothing but this is base case. Empty strings can interleave to form an empty string. This we know. This is fine. So simple 2 for loops because we are going with the DP table. This is also easy. So these are the 2 conditions that we need to actually know to solve this particular problem. So these are the 2 conditions. First condition is we have to check if we can take a character from S1, this one, And this one, second one is we have to check if we can take a character from S2 as well. So I hope this is clear. The final answer at dp of nm will be at dp of nm, right? So I can just return here dp of n and dp of m. So this one, length of the S1 and length of the S2 we have considered within this one, right? So here, so the final answer will be at the n and m, right? So this one, let's return dp of nm here. So let me format the code once and let me hit the run button. So it's saying wrong answer, right? So let's check what is wrong. So what mistake I have done here is in the line number 4, I have misspelled the length here. You can clearly see instead of n, I have given m here. Let me delete this one. Let me give n here. Let me run the code again. Let's see. Now I hope it works. Let's see. So you can clearly see the sample test cases are getting passed here. So let me hit the submit button quickly. So you can clearly see all the test cases are getting passed here. So the code works absolutely correct in this case, right? So let's quickly discuss the complexities of the code that we have written, right? Complexities of the code, uh, complexities for the code that we have written. Sorry. So the approach that we went with here is dynamic programming of that, right? So what would be the time complexity here? The overall time complexity would be big of m into n. So the time complexity here would be big of m into n. And then what would be the space complexity here? It will be big of m into n as well, right? Because we are going with length of the S1 and length of the S2. We have assigned this one to the m and n, right? So we are iterating over m and n once here. You can clearly see here, right? So overall time complexity and the space complexity would be big of m into n in this case. I hope the solution or the code that we have written is completely clear. For now, this is it. Thanks for watching, guys.